I've decided that it's necessary to cut down a large tree on my property. It's that tree right there. I think it's about 65 feet high, so that's about 15 meters. And I'm afraid that maybe some of the tree limbs are going to fall down on the cars in the parking lot, especially my new pickup truck right here, or some of the other cars that are parked underneath it. Also in the spring, it's a very dirty tree, and there's a cotton-like material that falls out of the tree along with some tree sap, and it gets all over the cars, and it's like a glue on the cars. And so I've decided it's about time that tree comes down. I imagine it's about 50 years old, but it's time it comes down. So I'm going to translate this now for my Spanish friends, and I'll take you around and show you some more parts of the tree as well. Here's another view of the tree. I'm going to translate for my Spanish friends. Decidió que es necesario cortar un árbol que domina la playa de estacionamiento. Es un árbol muy alto, tal vez 15 metros de altura. Me teme que las ramas que caen sobre los coches en los estacionamientos, estoy con mucho miedo de que caigan en mi camioneta nuevo. También en la primavera es un árbol muy sucio. Cada primavera hay un material parásito algodón que cubre el suelo como la nieve. Rápidamente se convierte en marrón sucio y se ve terrible. También en primavera hay savia que del árbol en los autos en el estacionamiento y se pega como una lapa. Así que es tiempo para que el árbol es cortado. Now if you look over to the right here, you'll see that there are a couple of other trees that I've cut down in the past. This one right here, and also this one on the corner. In those cases, I was able to fell the tree as one full tree and then cut it up after it came on the ground. But that's not going to be the case with this large tree because there are too many things in the way for it falling. Okay, so this is quite the experience. I'm about 45 feet up in the air. Here's the tree right here. And as you can see, there's everybody down on the ground. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Here's the tree. I just got to get over there and start cutting. So it's the end of day one. I think the tree won this round. As you can see, most of it is still standing. We did manage to get 3 limbs down, but it was a pretty hard day's work. And maybe tomorrow, weather permitting, we're going to try and take some more down. We were up 45 feet and we only managed to get halfway. I'll see if I can zoom in there. You can see where we were cutting off the limbs. Right there. So that was halfway up the tree. And we measured it, that was 40 feet high. So that's got to be an 80-foot tree high tree. Anyway, weather permitting, we'll be back at it again tomorrow. So here we are at day 2. Victor versus the tree. And I'm going to show you what we did get accomplished yesterday. You can see up here, that was one of the big limbs that got cut off. And there were a couple over on the other side. Still that's a pretty big tree. And just to give you a comparison, The tree versus me. So it's pretty big. Here's my neighbor's yard. Lots of tree limbs cut down there. And here's some of the tree limbs that we cut.
Oh! Now you're talking. Oh, now you're talking. About the same height. Yeah, same height.
So after 2 days of cutting, most of the tree is still there. We were able to cut down one major limb that was overhanging some of the houses, but after 2 days of cutting, I've decided to call it quits on cutting this tree myself. I think it's time to call in a professional. Unfortunately, the machine that we had just didn't go high enough to allow us to suspend the limbs when we were cutting them, and so rather than risk any more damage than we've already done, I'm going to call it quits at this point. So not a lot of damage, but I don't recall that being there when we started the project. I don't think my neighbor's going to be too happy to see that. And that's a pretty small piece of the tree that actually hit it. So you can certainly imagine if one of those larger branches way up here was to come down, or a main part of the tree, the kind of damage it would do to hit a house or some of the cars. Last night the weather turned really bad. At about 4 o'clock in the morning we had a thunderstorm, and so when I look out this morning I see that there is in fact a tree limb that came down. I'll go around the other side to give you a better view of that. So here's a branch from the walnut tree that fell last night, and you can see where it broke off right there. So that's got to be about 30 feet down that tree limb fell. You can see the walnuts on the tree. We're going to have quite a crop of walnuts this year. Here's a tree that I cut down 6 years ago. You can see what the tree looks like. That's the stump of it. And as we go around the other side, this would have been the root system on the underneath part of the tree. Here we've got some pieces of the trunk that were just left here. Here's another tree that I have on my property, and I'll zoom back. The trailer that I have is 30 feet long, so that kind of gives you a perspective on just how big that tree is. That tree has to be about 75 feet high, and you can see some of the limbs that are on it would be the size of trees themselves. That would be a pretty large tree right there if that was just standing straight up, let alone being a tree limb. So here's another very large tree. You can compare it to the foam pole there and see, it kind of gives you a perspective of just how large that tree is. That tree has to be about 80 to 100 feet high. It's pretty large. Well, it's been a very interesting couple of days. I've had some fun running around in the machine, and so that was a bit of an experience, albeit it was a very costly experience for the weekend, having fun in it, but nonetheless it could have been a lot worse. The damage on my neighbor's garage here really is insignificant, and so I'm not too worried about that. From here, what I'm going to do is probably call in a professional to finish off the job. I was given a quote of $3,500 to cut the tree down. So far I'm into the job about $1,000, so I guess it's going to end up costing me about $45 to get the whole thing done. I doubt they're going to take $1,000 off of cutting the tree down just for the part that I've done. That would be nice. But anyway, it's been an experience.